What if I told you that everything you've been doing to try to get rid of your chronic pelvic pain might actually be making your situation worse? In this video, I'm going to share the paradox of chronic pelvic pain. If you're a man or a woman suffering from chronic pelvic pain, pudendal neuralgia, nonbacterial prostatitis, or any of the mystery symptoms associated with CPPS, then this video is specifically for you. My name is Christian St. John. I spent nearly 3 years and over $50,000 to recover from chronic pelvic pain, so you don't have to. If you'd like access to my free training on how I beat CPPS, be sure to go ahead and grab that down below. I'm about to share with you the paradox of chronic pelvic pain. This is the exact same paradox that I had to wrestle with in order to finally recover. This is the same paradox that you too must face in order to beat CPPS. And if you stick with me until the end of this video, I'm going to share with you why so many people struggle with this paradox, ultimately extending their suffering, as well as exactly what you can do to make sure that this does not happen to you. So let's jump in.
I knew that I just couldn't give up on it. Completely healed, completely changed, totally transformed, back at the gym, lifting weights, working out. Most importantly, I'm just living a normal life.
You have to believe you can heal.
There are many paradoxes to chronic pelvic pain, which makes it such a difficult condition to beat. Pelvic pain attacks you, and it tricks you into thinking that you need to protect yourself. Because the pain hurts so badly, and because it feels physical, and because it's real pain that you're having, and it's so shocking, our natural inclination is to tighten, to seize up, to avoid that pain, and to try to be sedentary. I remember when I was suffering with the worst of my chronic pelvic pain, I was just totally locked up. I didn't even want to leave my house. In fact, it got to the point where I didn't even want to leave my bedroom. Fear avoidance kicked in. Normal daily activities become scary. Things like sitting, meeting someone outside of the house, traveling, looking for a restroom, all of these things became big problems. That fear creeps in. So you have to understand that your chronic pelvic pain and this protection mechanism are closely related. They feed each other. They fuel each other. When you experience pelvic pain, this unconscious guarding kicks in. The muscles that you have begin to become tense, and oftentimes you don't even realize that it's happening. Now, this tension buildup in the muscles can contribute to reduced blood flow, nerve irritation, and more pain. In my case, I had low-level spasms of the muscles of the pelvic floor going on for probably 6 to 9 months without me even realizing it. Once I realized it, it was hard for me to get rid of it. These muscles were in a constant state of spasm, and they resulted in symptoms for me such as pain with sitting, knife pain, burning pain, electric shocks in my urethra, pain with urination, pain after urination. Some men and women experience pain or discomfort in their perineum. Some experience discomfort in their anal region. Some experience sexual dysfunction. So there's a whole host of symptoms that could come as a result from this tension and from this protective guarding that leads to more anxiety and more tightening up. Fear and hypervigilance makes your pain worse. You enter the fight, flight, or freeze mode. What happens next is you enter the chronic pelvic pain cycle. In this cycle, you're now experiencing a lot of stress and a lot of hypersensitivity. This stress and this hypersensitivity is resulting in very emotional responses because you're having a hard time dealing with this. And those emotional responses are now triggering more tension, more symptoms. Whatever the symptoms are for you, maybe you're going into flare-ups, maybe they're becoming worse and worse, and you're focusing on them more. And now because the symptoms are becoming worse, your fear is increasing. You have more avoidance behaviors. You're afraid to leave the house perhaps, just like I was. Maybe you're isolating yourself like I was for months and years. Now, this isolation turns into depression and despair and more negative thoughts and more limiting beliefs and catastrophizing. And this cycle ultimately continues on and on again. You see, the paradox of chronic pelvic pain is the more that you try to fight it, the worse this pain becomes. I remember when I was suffering, I had so much frustration and so much anger, and that anger turned into fight inside of me. It was as if I had this enemy inside of me that I just wanted to kill and I wanted to get rid of. And the worse the pain became, the angrier I became. And I would just fight it through exercise routines or physical therapy routines or long walks or whatever I can do. And my mindset was just push through the pain, push through the pain. But all that did was amplify the pain. You see, whatever we focus on expands. Our brain tends to amplify the chronic pelvic pain if we're constantly fighting it and constantly focused on it. The solution is to do just the opposite. The solution is to cut off the oxygen, not give it the energy. The solution is to not give it the focus. You see, the real solution isn't more effort. It's actually the opposite. That's the paradox. You want to give it less focus. You want to give it less fuel, less energy, less oxygen. Another paradox of chronic pelvic pain is that a lot of the pain or discomfort you're feeling is only the tip of the iceberg. The reality is there could be many contributing factors that lie beneath the surface for you that are actually causing your chronic pelvic pain. So here you are spending all this time only on what you can see and feel, but it's actually what's unseen that might be causing your chronic pelvic pain. Another paradox of chronic pelvic pain is that often what seems like a solution can actually make your situation worse. Medications, treatments, and injections can leave you with false hope and lasting side effects. The wrong type of physical therapy can leave you with flare-ups and even more pain. So the paradox here is that you may actually be trying to force your muscles into being relaxed. Another paradox of chronic pelvic pain is that oftentimes what seems like the wrong approach could actually be the right approach for your healing. Let's face it, most people just don't want to hear, work on your mind, calm your nervous system, work on your brain. And I get it, I was just like you. I didn't want to hear any of that. I spent most of my time going from doctor to doctor, physical therapist to physical therapist. I was on online forum after online forum, just looking for that quick fix, just looking for that one secret that was going to take care of everything for me. I was racking up tens of thousands of dollars in treatments from one shiny penny to another, thinking this is going to be it, this is going to be the solution. I traveled all over the United States. I even left the country and went to another country for a treatment. I didn't want to hear it's in your mind, it's in your brain, work on your nervous system. I didn't want to hear any of that. I thought it was all nonsense. And finally, one day I woke up and I said, I can either continue spending all this time and all this money on treatments that don't work, or I can actually start looking inward. Maybe there's something to this. And one of the most difficult paradoxes of chronic pelvic pain is that you don't actually know what's going to work for you until you go through it all. There's no set structured plan out there from the medical community. Because chronic pelvic pain is biopsychosocial in nature, the whole attack, the whole approach to chronic pelvic pain is disconnected. The doctors don't speak to the specialist. Your specialist doesn't speak to your physical therapist. Your physical therapist doesn't speak to your pain doctor. Your pain doctor doesn't speak to your psychologist. Then there's a nutrition component. Then there's a mindset component. Then there's a psychology component. There's a neuroscience component. There's a societal component to it. So all of this needs to be put together on your own, and most people don't have the time, the energy, and the money to do it. This is why most people fail and they give up, because there has not been a proven roadmap until now. This is why I developed my pain recycling system. It's the exact system that I use to free myself from chronic pelvic pain. It's a system that our clients are using at Pelvic Heal to help them recover from chronic pelvic pain in months instead of years. So now that you've learned some of the paradoxes of chronic pelvic pain, what can you actually do about it? Well, here are 5 counterintuitive and somewhat paradoxical steps to approaching your chronic pelvic pain. Step number 1, stop fighting the pain. Just accept that stress and tension are part of the deal. Instead of always trying to fight the pain, focus on relaxing, focus on calming your nervous system, and focus on reprogramming your brain. Step number 2, choose safety over strength. Remember, your nervous system must feel safe before you can begin to heal. Focus on activities that are designed to soothe you and calm your nervous system, such as deep breathing, mindfulness, maybe even meditation. These can be a lot more effective for you versus forceful, strenuous techniques. And when it comes to stretching and physical therapy, you want to make sure that you're doing a specific type of stretching that's designed to pull the muscle tension out of the body and strip the tension out of the prime movers of your body. Those would be your hamstrings, your quadriceps, and your glutes. This specific power stretching was very effective for me in helping me to relieve my chronic pelvic pain. Step number 3, be sure to celebrate your small wins as they come. Focus and celebrate your wins without catastrophizing your losses. When it comes to chronic pelvic pain, people spend so much time in the valley of despair. Even when they're progressing, even when they're beginning to heal, they may suffer a minor setback and then bam, they're already down in the valley of despair and they're catastrophizing, and now they're stuck again and they've forgotten all of the gains that they've made. So focus on celebrating your wins, no matter how small they could be. For me, being able to sit, being able to start walking, being able to start moving, not having to take a cushion everywhere. Or perhaps it's just having less pain during the day or having less frequent flare-ups. These are situations that need to be celebrated and not minimized. And what this does is when you're celebrating these wins, you're training your brain that everything's okay. You're training your brain that you're safe, and you're training yourself that there's nothing physically wrong with you and you can begin to progress forward. Step number 4, learn to trust the process. You have to understand that healing is not linear. There's going to be ups and downs, and you have to learn to be okay with that. You also have to understand that you're not going to heal from chronic pelvic pain overnight. Remember, chances are it was months, years, or even decades for you to develop chronic pelvic pain. That means you're not going to get out of it in just one night. Rome was not built in a day, and in the same regard, you're not going to get out of chronic pelvic pain in one day. So just relax, take a deep breath, and trust in the process. But of course, you want to make sure that you have the right process and you have the right recovery system to follow so you can ultimately trust it, and that will give you a lot of peace. Step number 5, learn to shift your perspective. If you're stuck in the chronic pelvic pain loop right now, or if you're stuck in the valley of despair, I want you to take a deep breath and understand that your body is not broken. You are not broken. You're just stuck in that chronic pelvic pain loop, and you just need to learn how to get out. That's all. Focus on activities that build confidence, reduce fear, and focus on letting go of the struggle. Even though it may feel like an eternity for you, understand that once you start doing the right activities for a long enough period of time, eventually you'll free yourself from this condition. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to let us know which paradox of chronic pelvic pain you're currently going through. And if you'd like to learn about the root causes of chronic pelvic pain and exactly how you should go about addressing them, be sure to go ahead and watch this next video that's coming up here on the screen.